This is the Cliff Yates Show. Personal growth, motivation, inspiration, and philosophies for a great life.
Hey everybody, welcome to the podcast. This is the Cliff Yates Show. And today, yes, I'm talking about myself as the reluctant leader. And that comes from my experience in the LA County Sheriff's Department when I got into personal growth, self-development, self-education, trying to be better, do better, and I had decided to seek promotion within the LA Sheriff's Department from deputy sheriff to the rank of sergeant. I wanted to retire at that next rank. Actually, the next rank of sergeant equated to an extra $1,000 a month. So I have to say, initially, my pursuit of that rank was for the wrong reasons. It was for the monetary reasons. But that's okay that I started that pursuit for the wrong reasons, because in the end, I was doing things for the right reasons. So to seek that promotion, I had to do a couple things in my career. I had to, instead of just being a deputy sheriff generalist, I needed to do a few things to become eligible to not only take the sergeant's test and the oral and pass, but be picked as a sergeant. So one of those things that I had to do is to seek a specialized unit assignment, like an operations job, which I did. I ended up being a facilitator for our sexual harassment policy, which we were under a consent decree. And so we had an outside consulting agency teaching the department under the purview of the courts our sexual harassment policy. And gradually that was being transferred to deputy sheriffs to teach ourselves our policy, but under still the consent decree and the purview of the courts. And so it was a competitive job, and I got that job. And then on top of that, I became involved in the Deputy Leadership Institute, the DLI of the department. Now, the sheriff had always put forth that we were all leaders. No matter what position on the department we were all leaders. It kind of became a cliche that people joked about and really didn't readily accept. But in the end, I mean, that is true. No matter what your position is, not only in your job, but in the community or in your family, you have the opportunity to become a leader within that culture. And we all serve several different roles, either in a day, in a week, or any time in our life. We're either a husband, a wife, a mother, father, son, daughter. And so in that role, we can actively be leaders in our position. We may not have the authority that some positions have, but within that position, we can become leaders, which may involve just being a good follower. So I got involved in the Deputy Leadership Institute, and I really, really enjoyed that because I found that, and we were in an open discussion group that was being facilitated, and so we would discuss these leadership books and movies that showed different types of leadership. And all the books that were on the reading list for the class, I had already read once. Several I had read 2 to 3 times. So I was excelling in the discussion of these philosophies and or ideas involving leadership because I had read these books already, and that was part of our assignments to read these books. So I was enjoying it because here I was getting paid to read books that I enjoyed reading. I had already been reading. So, I mean, I was having a great time in this Deputy Leadership Institute. And it gave me an opportunity to be involved with, well, not involved with, but create relationships with the different facilitators that we had. In many cases, they were sergeants, lieutenants, commanders, sometimes chiefs, who were involved in the SLI, Supervisory Leadership Institute. So I was developing, again, relationships with people who could do things for me at a later time in the promotion process. So Now, one of the reasons I never wanted to pursue promotion to the sergeant's level was just, all the horror stories that people promulgate or put forward, that, hey, you're going to be in charge of all these people and you're going to be responsible for what they're doing out there in the field that you have no idea what they're doing, and you're going to be held accountable, and it's a miserable job. You're going to have all these evaluations. Every time somebody uses force, you're going to be buried in paperwork. You want that job? Not me. And that was sometimes the message that was put out there, many times by people who either didn't want to be promoted or had tried to be promoted and didn't make it. And so they were the loudest voices in the room against pursuing the next level of promotion. And so that was in my mind all the time when I decided year after year not to do that, because I was loving my job in my deputy generalist position. But I was, like I said before, for the wrong reasons, seeking promotion now for the financial benefit it would afford me in retirement. Well, going forward, I did get promoted to sergeant, and I did find myself leading teams and shifts, and I was over these deputy sheriffs. And when you make sergeant, one of the reasons people don't want to make sergeant is when you make sergeant, it's like starting in the department all over again. When you first came on, you automatically, in most cases, go right back to the jail, which I never wanted to do, and most people do not want to do. So you find yourself back in the jail. You're locked in custody, just like inmates are locked in, and you're dealing with newly assigned deputy sheriffs who have no experience. And those are the challenges, and they're in a highly stressed situation, learning about uses of force and writing reports. And it can be very, very challenging. And I found myself in those positions. And as time went on, and my experience was totally opposite from that which was presupposed to be by everything I had heard, or mostly heard, it became one of the most rewarding positions, rewarding jobs that I had on the sheriff's department. It was, the opportunity to lead men and women in whatever assignment that I was in as a supervisor, but also as a leader, because I went on from the DLI, Deputy Leadership Institute, to the Supervisory Leadership Institute, and became a facilitator for that group, once again, because I was reading the same books, watching the same movies, and interested in the same subjects. And so I really enjoyed it. And so if you have the opportunity either to ascend to the next position or in the position that you're currently in to be a leader, take an active role in being a leader. Don't be the reluctant leader as I was. Boldly go forward in a leadership position, either in family, friends, community, and you're going to find out that it's going to be activating the law of compensation. You're going to get back tenfold what you put into it. Be a leader in any position. And when you do that, you're going to be promoted by other people, whether you like it or not, because you're going to stand out from the rest of the crowd in the middle, in mediocrity, and just barely qualifying for any position. It's crowded. As soon as you step up to world class, you're almost alone. No one else is with you. And you get to see everything from a different point of view. Be an active leader. I liked it. Turns out it was very rewarding for me. And one of the reasons I am doing this podcast and sharing all these philosophies, strategies, is because number one, because of the satisfaction that I got out of being a supervisor, being a leader, but also a couple of things happened to me. Even after I had retired from the sheriff's department, I was off duty one time, and a deputy came up to me and he says, "Oh, Sergeant Yates." And I recognized him. I said, "Oh, hey, how is it going?" He goes, "Well, I'm working here, I'm working there." And then he said to me, "I have to tell you, working for you, when I worked for you, it was the best time that I had on the sheriff's department. I never had more fun. I never felt more supported. And I just had to share that with you. I'm telling you, I could have walked on water out of that Home Depot, because that's where it was. I remember that day exactly. So the benefits of leading a group of people, whether it's your family or maybe it's your friends or maybe it's the people in your local community, the benefits that are going to come back to you are tenfold, whatever you may perceive to be the negatives. The positives are so much better. Take an active role as a leader. Don't be reluctant like I was. In the end, I was so thankful. And so that's it. And if you've been listening on a podcast platform, subscribe to the podcast. And if you've been watching and or listening on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. And if you think somebody might need to hear this, who's anticipating a leadership role or has the opportunity to take action in a leadership capacity, share this with them. I appreciate it. Cliff Yates, out.